2018 Renault Koleos SUV Review. The good points of Renault Koleos SUV. Improved interior quality and usability. Long wheelbase for spacious rear seats. Simple, high-specification trim structure. Impressive stepped CVT transmission. The bad points of Renault Koleos SUV. No petrol engine in range. No 7-seater available. Lack of badge kudos. Intrusive road noise. The second-generation Renault Koleos adds another, and final, string to Renault's crossover-style SUV bow, joining the Captur and Kadjar to combat its corner within a sector with the market increasingly saturated with rivals. The number of those rivals can be a long one, and includes the hugely popular Land Rover Discovery Sport, Nissan X-Trail, Ford Edge, Kia Sorento, Hyundai Santa Fe and, recently, the Skoda Kodiaq. The well-received latter will probably provide stiff competition to the Koleos, most famously because it supplies the option of the 7-seat format. Search used Renault Koleos 2017 on available for sale. Why can't I have a 7-seat Renault Koleos? Renault justifies its decision not to ever consider a lot more than 5 seats for the basis that proportion and styling was more significant, as an alternative to dressing in the hunchback, and this the addition of another tier would simply cramp second-row space. With a 2,705mm wheelbase, one with the longest trolling around in its class, the argument towards rear seat space has certainly been vindicated. But with regards to proportion and styling, it strikes us that most in the effort has merely gone into making leading of a sizable boxial Renault as loudly as is possible, that this does well indeed. Besides, if you need a 7-seat Renault, why don't you try the impressively stylish Scenic? Still, with easy fold, 60/40 split rear seats, a powered tailgate where you may wave your foot if your hands are brimming with shopping, a maximum load space of merely 1,706 litres and wide opening doors for making the UK's Austin 7-sized parking bays much more frustrating, space and practicality are up there together with the competition. Another interesting decision due to the burgeoning anti-diesel backlash, Renault has shunned petrol power for that UK, only arming the Koleos using a choice of a single 0.6 and 2.0-litre diesel engines for 130 and 175 horsepower respectively. Watch more, petrol versus diesel, that's best for me. The smaller unit is mated which has a 6-speed manual transmission and front-wheel drive. As you move the larger features all-wheel drive and is particularly available using a choice of your 6-speed manual gearbox or continuously variable transmission CVT. That latter option which Renault's dubbed Xtronic transmission which consists of attendant 2.0-litre engine and all-wheel drive is, apparently, slated being the best-selling model inside the UK. Happily, then, this can be our instance of CVT which doesn't set the engine bellowing off across the rev counter even though the car catches up in the own good time. 7 artificial steps constructed into the system come up with a pretty decent fist of more closely matching engine revs to acceleration, that could please old-style automatic aficionados, as well as their ears. For all of the easy driving charms with the Xtronic transmission, the manual 1.6-litre powertrain is to not be sniffed at. The gear change is light as well as simple, the engine a lot more than willing. Both the steering and handling in this lighter variant feel somewhat more engaging, and yes, it offers nigh on 10 miles per gallon more inside the fuel economy stakes. What equipment will you get within the Renault Koleos? The model lineup is every bit straightforward. That selection of powertrains accessible in just 2 trim levels, Dynamic S-NAF or Signature NAF. With the former boasting a respectably lavish standard equipment specification, it's unsurprising that Renault expects it being the favoured option from the UK. Full leather upholstery, heated front seats as well as a powered tailgate aside, really the only goodie that Signature NAF produces in the party will be the larger 8.7-inch portrait format center console multimedia touchscreen. You obtain a vast amount of driver assistance tech including automatic emergency braking, blind spot monitor, lane departure warning and traffic sign recognition. Other common safety features including escape, ABS, cruise control, 6 airbags and ISOFIX mountings within the 2 outer rear seats, a standard for the Koleos. Such a big standard kit list means optional extras are thin within the ground. However, customers can spec the climate pack purely available on Signature NAF, which adds ventilated front seats plus heated rear seats, tire and front windscreen once they wish. A high-end 13-speaker Bose head unit and automatic parking are also offered. Limited choice, 2 diesel engines. Impressive CVT automatic. We enjoyed the 1.6-litre most. First examples from the Koleos is available, which has a choice of just 2 diesel engines powering 3 different drivetrains. According to Renault, petrol versions aren't yet essential in this sector, although this really is changing rapidly. There is often a 1.6-litre unit with 6-speed manual transmission and front-wheel drive, plus a more powerful 2.0-litre unit with either 6-speed manual or Renault's 7-speed Xtronic CVT automatic transmissions, and all-wheel drive. 1.6-litre, 4-cylinder turbodiesel, 130 horsepower, 357 Nm, 6-speed manual, front-wheel drive. 0.62 miles per hour in 11.4 seconds, max speed 115 miles per hour, 57.6 miles per gallon, 128 GkM CO2. 2.0-litre, 4-cylinder turbodiesel, 177 horsepower, 380 Nm, 6-speed manual, front-wheel drive. 0.62 miles per hour in 10.7 seconds. Max speed 126 miles per hour, 50.4 miles per gallon, 148 GkM CO2. 2.0-litre, 4-cylinder turbodiesel, 177 horsepower, 380 Nm, 7-speed automatic, all-wheel drive. 0.62 miles per hour in 9.5 seconds. Max speed 125 miles per hour. 47.9 miles per gallon, 156 GkM CO2. We sampled a 2.0-litre version with CVT transmission and all-wheel drive, along with the 1.6-litre car and manual, front-wheel drive guys. Both are furnished with stop-start, an aux trap as well as a particulate filter. A more robust option. The 2.0-litre below variant is most impressive, not for that engine itself, however for a CVT system which, when it comes to power delivery, feels closest yet we've experienced into a standard automatic gearbox. As long because you don't push too hard inside the quest for performance, the artificial introduction of 7 steps within the transmission is appealing, if slightly contrived. It serves to suit vehicle acceleration a great deal more closely on the rise in engine revs compared with most CVT gearboxes, yet no perceptible detriment on the freshly buttered banister smoothness that could be the hallmark of which systems. However, this is really a big car having a towing capacity of 2 tons, and, even when it does remove an offer of faff from your process of making progress, the gentle emasculation with the powertrain from the CVT transmission ensures it's really going to feel exactly sprightly. Some CVT issues to contend with. Moreover, until you actually find a 7-speed sequential mode, there are no paddle shifters in which place should you choose. There's no engine braking to slow you into corners. That's initially somewhat disconcerting and, thereafter, a mite taxing for the brakes. By contrast, the 1.6-litre unit governed by the 6-speed manual box feels a great deal more eager to respond to your wishes in the accelerator. The gear shift itself is almost slick enough to avoid its use feeling too great a chore and, Atlanta divorce attorneys respect save money on paper, small unit actually feels livelier than its bigger sibling. Unashamedly unsporty handling. Focus quite definitely on comfort. Will work off-road, very easy to park. It's surprising how differently the 1.6 and 2.0-litre models handle. Despite a nice tingling of road surface information from the helm when driving straight, which promises much, the all-wheel drive 2.0-litre car's steering never relates to life over the corners. Though adequately accurate, It is affected with a distinctly rubbery feel plus a lack of communication mid-bend that discounts driving involvement. Combine this using a degree of body roll undoubtedly encouraged by way of a ground clearance of 210 mm as well as the relative ease in which the nose can wash wide when pressing on, and it also quickly becomes apparent the Koleos isn't that happy when tackling a sequence of tightly knit bends, losing composure with ever greater degree as corner follows corner. Despite having only top wheels in which to conjure traction, the 1.6-litre car handles a great deal more tidily under similar circumstances. Handling is exactly what we'd call predictable, all you have to in an SUV. Perhaps because there's less mass inside engine room, the steering weight and feel is really a marked improvement, plus the car seems much more wanting to turn in when needed. Around town, the driver's seat need to be hiked high enough to crush your wife's wimple to face any change of locating the leading corners on the car, making low-speed maneuvering and parking a trifle more bothersome laptop or computer or two. Off-road, the Koleos plugs along quite respectably, a three-way control switch offering a selection of front-wheel drive, 4WD auto that provides all-wheel drive when deemed necessary, and 4WD lock which distributes torque equally between back and front axles, automatically disengaging at a minimum of 25 miles per hour. This is often a big car, but parking guidance is on offer. Depending on spec you could have acoustic sensors throughout the car, a rear view camera and automatic parking systems. Vastly improved cabin quality. High degree of standard kit. Unconvincing touchscreen reliance. Renault's interior planning has improved out of all recognition inside the last 2 years, with all the raft of smiley-faced control panels that when typified their dashboards happily consigned on a circular filing tray. The Koleos' largely clean, straightforward dashboard design also bears witness to your welcome hike inside the quality of materials at both the visual and tactile level, allied with an increasing reliance from the driver around the use on the infotainment touchscreen for that control of, perhaps, slightly a great number of functions. A collection of just 2 specification levels inside the UK means either a 7.0-inch or 8.7-inch center console touchscreen. Both come loaded having a respectable SP watch of multimedia systems, including sat-nav. We can report that, with the larger screen, the systems all manage to work well, and swiftly enough not to ever irritate. We might elect to question, however, the increasing reliance for the touchscreen, and Renault is significantly from alone here to regulate some functions which drivers should access rather more watchily. Take the air cooling, for instance. Though it possesses a small phalanx of controls sited under the screen, they don't have the ultimate flexibility required. Happily, there can be a maxi mist button available without recourse towards the screen controlled air conditioning settings. Because the windscreen incorporates a bad habit of misting up in warm, rainy weather, also it's quicker and simpler to stab that regularly than fumble through on-screen menus to reacquaint yourself while using road ahead. Dual driving position required. Comfortable ride in the majority of situations. Watch out for body roll in corners. While Renault was for being applauded for imbuing the Koleos with all the fundamentally soft undercarriage appropriate to a big family cruiser, closer scrutiny does unearth a number of rough edges. The overall perception is of your comfortable ride quality which, though admirable for motorway work, incorporates a tendency to float over larger undulations and enable a certain amount of body roll throughout the corners to remind you that this is really a large and weighty car. But there is just not enough insulation from smaller road surface imperfections. Typical urban potholes are heard and felt a lot more than you'd expect. Put that down for the huge wheels that Koleos models wear. Seating is a useful one, and not brilliant. The front seats aren't as comfortable because they could be. The driving position is okay once you're sitting high enough to find out. Nevertheless they aren't as supportive as we would like. Also, usual for most Renaults, it's slacking just a little in rearwards travel, so tall drivers will sit closer towards the wheel compared to they would ideally like. In diesel guise, the Koleos is pleasantly quiet. The clatter with the diesel engine at idle quickly replaced as speeds rise because of the thrum of tires on tarmac and, given its snub-nosed approach to your management of passing air, an inevitable amount of wind noise. In all, though others may insulate you in the road surface to your greater degree, conversation at speed is just not an issue. 3 trim levels. Loads of ordinary kit. Truncated options list. Mirroring its limited selection of power plant options, the Koleos provides a mercifully simple collection of just 2 trim levels from the UK Dynamic S-NAF and top-off-the-range Signature NAF. Standard Renault Koleos SUV equipment. So comprehensive, however, will be the Dynamic S-NAF standard equipment specification that Renault believes the best-selling variant from the UK is definitely the 2.0-litre Xtronic transmission, all-wheel drive model with this lesser trim guise. That specification features a DAB radio having a 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system which incorporates Bluetooth hands-free connectivity, Android Auto and Apple CarPlay smartphone replications, TomTom Live Update sat-nav with Western European mapping, 4 USB and 2 aux ports, a hands-free keycard, automatic lights and wipers, dual-zone climate control, part leather upholstery, front seat air conditioning cup holders, heated and folding door mirrors, 18-inch two-tone alloy wheels, roof bars, a gap panoramic sunroof, and extra tinted rear windows. With little left to feature, Signature NAF is only able to muster a few additional goodies: an 8.7-inch portrait format multimedia screen, heated, full leather upholstery, full LED headlamps, 19-inch alloys, plus a power-operated tailgate which those carrying shopping may open by waving a foot in the rear bumper. Optional Renault Koleos SUV extras. The options list continues to be similarly truncated, and features naught but a climate pack featuring heated and ventilated front seats, and heated rear seats, windscreen and helm, hands-free parking, brown or grey leather rather than black, metallic paint, an extra wheel instead of the kinda foaming goo, and also a spanking 13-speaker Bose audio system. A very safe and secure SUV with lots of ordinary kit. Top marks from Euro NCAP. Driver assistance tech aims to create life easier too. As we've go to expect from any Renault, there is certainly, obviously, a raft of driver assistance and safety systems tacked into the back with the standard equipment list. Applied over the lineup, Renault's driver assistance systems have an advanced emergency braking ebb, blind spot warning, lane departure warning, traffic sign recognition with overspeed prevention, hill start assist, a rear parking camera, front and back parking sensors as well as an electrochromatic rear mirror. Standard security features include ABS with electronic brake force distribution, escape with traction and understeer control, cruise control, speed limiter, 6 airbags, seatbelts with load limiters and pretensioners at the top, side impact protection bars and ISOFIX child seats mounting points to your 2 outer rear seats. If you can imagine anything else, it is likely you don't want to buy. Unsurprisingly, the Koleos scored a full 5-star rating. Gets hotter was crash-tested because of the experts at Euro NCAP in 2017. The Renault Koleos can be a practical car for 4 average adults, and 5 if your rear seat occupants are smaller in proportions. Of special note include the heated and cooled front cup holders, while inside the rear they're hidden inside central armrest between your 2 back seats. You have a good-sized 11-litre glove box and also a 7-litre storage box in relating to the 2 front seats. We found the doors open wide to 70 degrees and 77 degrees at front and back respectively. That will make loading larger stuff like child seats nice and simple. The Renault Koleos isn't essentially the most difficult car inside world to park, despite its large SUV footprint. That's because there is usually a range of systems agreeable to help out, including parking sensors along with a rear view camera to higher visualize the objects across the car. On top of that, there's a hands-free parking system to permit the car do each of the hard work. The large boot within the Renault Koleos is usually extended dramatically by folding along the rear seats, which liberates van-like degrees of extra room. Said seats are folded using a net touch buttons inside boot. A removable floor within the luggage area sits for the same height because the relatively low loading lip, meaning a floor is totally flat to produce loading larger items easier.